Hey folks, it's Fernando doing our video for the More Survivalist, and here I have a message that I got in YouTube about one of my previous videos regarding crime in the United States. It says, I'd be very interested in a link to those stats. I'm certain the murder rates for Missouri, my home state, are skewed because of KC and St. Louis metropolitan areas. Rural Missouri is extremely safe, boring safe. That is in fact correct. I mean, I've used data from the FBI regarding crime in the United States for my book, Out And Relocating. And I have it here in page 111 regarding where is this from. This is from the FBI. This is, actually the link is right here, www.fbi.gov. And this is the crime in the United States by state 2012. This was the latest information available when I was working for this book. And it's providing a lot of different stats and such. Now keep in mind, statistics and data, they are just that. They are pieces of information that are not extremely accurate. There's a wide margin of error in many ways, and it's an average of the entire state. That means that you have some counties that may be extremely safe and with very little crime, and then you have maybe some metropolitan areas that are bad parts of town, or maybe a small town that has drug problems or whatnot, and that is also taken into account. So it's not the end-all statistic to guide yourself by. So what I did was the following. Of all the different crimes that were listed in the FBI website, I used the following ones: murder, violent crime, rape, robbery, assaults, burglary, vehicle theft. I use these because I believe these are some of the more some of the ones that are more likely to affect your quality of life, some of the ones that impact your life the most. And I organized this chart by murder, given that I think that murder is maybe one of the most conclusive and most significant types of crime. It's as serious as it could possibly get. So I organized it based on murder, and here I have the ranking of crime by murder in the United States. The safest state based on murder is New Hampshire, followed by Vermont, Iowa, Utah, Idaho, Minnesota. All these are pretty safe states. You keep on going down: Colorado, New York, Virginia, Texas, Nevada. You have Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, and finally Puerto Rico as 26.7 on 100,000. That's pretty serious crime rates. Now, of course, this again is an average of the entire state. It's basically like an average of an entire country, given that each state in the United States is like a small country and you have different cities. So what I would be an important part of this book is the strategy and the methodology used to analyze each option. Crime is definitely something that I would be paying particular attention to. I think it's serious enough. Now, that doesn't mean that maybe you are seriously considering Missouri and you come here, you bought my book, you said, okay, I'm going to be buying Fernando's book. You buy it, you look at this, and you say, oh crap. Missouri looks like has a pretty serious problem in terms of murder, according to the FBI data. Now, what is it that you do? If you have lots of good reasons as to go for Missouri, this may not be even a deal breaker for you. Maybe it just shows you that, in average, it's something that you should be considering and be worrying about, and just be looking into it a little bit more. See exactly where it is that crime is more serious and more of a problem in the state in consideration, in this case Missouri. So maybe you go here to this other link, citydata.com crime, and in this website you will have the crime rate of each state, but not only the states, you will also have a crime by county of each state, each county, a good idea of how bad crime is there. Of course, that's the kind of information that goes well beyond what it could possibly cover in a single book, each county of each US state. But here you have the website, you follow there and you make a closer, more more detailed research regarding how bad crime is there. This other website is also good, neighborhoodscout.com, as well, also a good resource. But it's just part of the equation, guys. I guess that's what I'm trying to explain in this video. Crime is definitely important, definitely one of the most important things to keep in mind, but it's just one part. You also have, for example, the average ACT scores by state, 2014, Massachusetts ranking among the best, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Surprisingly enough, you have New Hampshire doing very well in terms of education, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. And yeah, same thing here. Also, this one of the safest states, the safest state in terms of murder rates. So education and crime seem to go along, at least in that case, well. But these are the kind of things that you should be looking into. Also, the importance of cost of living. You know, it doesn't matter if a state works for you in many levels, if it's just beyond your resources. Cost of living is also something that's important. In this case, in case you're wondering, I used this website. This is www.missourieconomy.org, and here you have the ranking based on different prices: groceries, housing, utility, transportation, health, miscellaneous. Mississippi, number 1, the most affordable state to be living, according to MissouriEconomy.org, followed by Tennessee, Kentucky. Mississippi, at the same time, it's a state that does pretty bad in terms of crime. Again, in general, again, in average, not going by each individual state. Maybe you have a extremely safe place in Mississippi, some small town or some county that has almost no crime, and maybe you have, in spite of what you have here, you have a city in Vermont that has much worse crime. So it's just an average, so as to guide yourself and have an idea of what to expect. These are all pieces of information that will complete this puzzle. And it's not just one, and it also depends on each personal preference and need. Not all circumstances are the same. Texas doesn't do especially well in terms of crime. It's about in the middle of the chart, so it's not great, it's not a disaster, but it could definitely be better. Still, I consider it one of the best states to be in. So definitely one of those that I would take a good look. Colorado, also a good state, at least the way I see it. New Hampshire, every state has its pros and cons. Every state does. But in general, you can make a good case for those. Utah as well. Top states, and this is also another ranking that I thought would be pretty useful. Top states 2013 overall rankings. This is from, in case you're wondering, this is from CNBC.com. I looked into the way in which they had gathered this research. I thought it was useful, I thought it was pretty relevant, and again, paints a good picture of all those different categories that you should be considering. You have the ranking here. The ranking here is considering the following ones: economy, infrastructure, quality of life, tech and innovation, cost of living, and education. All of which are pretty important. I would combine these with I would definitely combine these with crime rates, so as to make a more accurate picture. But according to this ranking, you have, as of the best 10, the top 10 states to live in, according to the CNBC ranking, would be the following ones. Would be South Dakota, Texas, North Dakota, Nebraska, Utah, Virginia, Colorado, Georgia, Wyoming, Idaho. Do you agree with this? Maybe yes, maybe not. Just leave your comments below. I think that, for example, Texas, ranking number 2, I think that's pretty accurate. I think that Texas is, in fact, a very good state. It doesn't do very well in quality of life, which is rather subjective, because it really depends on what is it that you consider quality of life. For example, people that like shooting, they may love the idea of being in Texas. Maybe people that are not comfortable in a strong Second Amendment or strong firearms culture may consider that a deterrent, maybe one of those things that bring it down in terms of quality of life. So that's basically why I didn't do a top 10 ranking or a ranking of my own based on the things that I like, because that would be a lack of that wouldn't be being objective, because the circumstances that I would be favoring my own would be different from someone else. Maybe a person that has a couple without children, they wouldn't be caring about education. On the other hand, a young family will be giving a lot of importance to education. On the other hand, maybe if you are independently wealthy, cost of living doesn't compute much in your equation, doesn't bother you nearly as much as other things. While on the other hand, people that are on a tight budget, that's definitely one of the most important things for them. So that's why you cannot make I at least didn't want to make a ranking of my own of this is the best state. I gave a few suggestions so as to guide your choices, but there's not a final conclusion of my own. And what about the worst 10 states? At least this is, again, according to CNBC, the CNBC study. 10 worst states. Worst of all, Hawaii, followed by Rhode Island, West Virginia, California, Nevada, Connecticut, Alaska, Louisiana, New Jersey, and Mississippi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The worst 10 states according to the statistic. Do you agree with it? You know, it's kind of surprising to find maybe Hawaii there. But Hawaii, the thing is, it does really bad in pretty much all of the categories except for one. The one in which it does very well is obviously quality of life, because you're living in freaking Hawaii. It has lots of good things going for it. But then when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the infrastructure, technology, cost of living, education, it clearly doesn't do well at all. So that brings it down quite a bit. And a lot of you folks probably agree with Hawaii not being that much of a good state. Same for California. You know, many of you guys don't think that California is that great. Now, I know a lot of people that are extremely happy in California in spite of many of the politics going on there. Maybe they find just the right place to be living in California and are doing just fine. So, again, this is all the kind of information that I think is important to have accessible. This is the kind of information that with the right mythology, the right way of analyzing further and going into much of the smaller details, using this information and knowing where to keep looking for more, digging into it a little bit deeper, that's going to be helping making a wise decision as of where to go. Folks, the book is Bugging Out and Relocating. It's available, the link there below in Amazon. Thumbs up if you like, and let me know what you think. If you agree with that top 10 ranking of best and worst states to live in. If not, then explain your reasons why you think different. Guys, it's going to be all for now. Take care. Have a great day. See you on our next video.